Come to order. A quorum is present. The committee meets today pursuant to notice, and without objection, the chair may recess the committee at any point. I don't want to do that. Let me be honest with you, I'm glad to see you all back. I missed you all. And I would hope that at this point, that this committee, which I think is truthfully the most vitally needed committee in all of Congress, when we talk about education and workforce, that we can come together and remind ourselves that the past, whether it be the past 7 weeks or what, is the past, and now we can get back to the work of the people that they've called us to do. So I'm delighted to see you all, and hope this will be a great and positive hearing, where we've had some negative hearings by right of what we need to do in this committee. There's always a good opportunity to have positive hearings looking at innovation in the space that we are most concerned with. Good morning and welcome to today's Committee on Education Workforce hearing. I want to thank our witnesses for joining us as we examine how innovation in higher education can expand opportunity, improve student outcomes, and make college more affordable. The need for innovation is clear across our higher education system. Only about 61% of first-time students earn a degree within 6 years, not 4 years. And completion rates are even lower for non-traditional and part-time learners. As a result, nearly 42 million Americans have attended college, but left without earning a credential. This some college, no credential population underscores a critical gap in our education system. Too many students invest time and money and effort in higher education without ever seeing the return they deserve. At the same time, a divide persists between how educators and graduates view workforce readiness. Nearly 9 in 10 educators believe their students are ready for the workplace. Yet only half of recent graduates feel prepared for entry-level roles, and just 1 in 3 believe their education was worth the cost, and their employers feel the same way. Meanwhile, the profile of the typical college student has changed. Today, most students are non-traditional, working adults, parents, caregivers, and veterans whose needs and schedules look very different from an 18-year-old living on campus. College also faced demographic and economic challenges. A looming enrollment cliff is projected to shrink the pool of new high school graduates entering college by about 13% between 2025 and 2041. And more young Americans are opting out of college altogether. Just 62.8% of 2024 high school graduates enrolled in college immediately after graduation, down 4 percentage points from 2019. These realities demand new technologies, new models, and new mindset to ensure higher education truly meets the needs of students and families. Fortunately, innovation is not a distant goal. It's happening right now, reshaping how students access, afford, and complete college. Artificial intelligence, or AI, for example, is transforming learning and operations. Students and faculty are using AI to brainstorm ideas, tutor, design coursework, and streamline feedback. Institutions are automating administrative workflows to reduce costs and improve service. High-quality online and hybrid classes are making college more accessible for working adults, parents, and veterans who need flexibility. Colleges are collaborating through course-sharing partnerships, ensuring students can take required courses from another college, even if they're not offered at their home institution. Partnerships between colleges and job creators are also driving innovation, ensuring programs align with workforce needs and preparing students for the jobs of tomorrow and today. The Trump administration is helping accelerate this progress by prioritizing AI literacy and directing competitive grants toward AI implementation in higher education, reflecting a commitment to modernizing our higher education system and ensuring innovation leads to real results for learners. Today's panel represents that commitment. We are joined by leaders from across the higher education landscape who are driving innovation and helping shape the future of learning. I look forward to their testimony and to today's important discussion. And so with that, I now yield to my friend from Virginia, the ranking member, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back.
Good to see you.
It's been quite a while since we've seen Republicans in town. Democrats came back a couple of times just to see if we could entice you back.
Well, I was back and I saw you here.
Okay, well, it was good to see you then, but it's good to be back and back at work.
I'll now turn to what I've looked forward to and giving introduction to our four witnesses on the panel today. Welcome, and we appreciate you being here. Our first witness is Dr. Jeffrey Docking, the president of Adrian College from Adrian, Michigan, my home area, and sweatshirts that my three little granddaughters are wearing now of Adrian College. I look forward to your testimony, Dr. Docking. Our second witness is Dr. Colin Napier, the director of the Mississippi Artificial Intelligence Network from Gulfport, Mississippi. Welcome. Our third witness is Dr. Will Del Pilar, the Senior Vice President for Higher Education at Ed Trust here in Washington, D.C. Welcome. Our last witness is Mr. Tade Oyerinde. I hope I got that right. Close. That's phonics. Phonics help. The Chancellor of CampusEDU.edu from New York City. Welcome. I recognize Mr. Oyerinde for your testimony.
Thank you. Chairman Wahlberg, Ranking Member Scott, and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me here today. My name is Tade Oyerinde. I'm the founder and chancellor at Campus, a two-year college reimagining the future of post-high school education in America. At its best, American higher education is second to none on this planet, a system built to cultivate the talents of our young people and prepare them to lead productive and awesome lives. And when it's functioning properly, it delivers great results for society. We know, for example, that on average, young people who complete a bachelor's degree will out-earn folks with just a high school diploma by more than $1 million over the course of their careers. But I'm here today because, like many Americans in my generation, I've experienced firsthand that our higher education system has fallen off the tracks. The cost of college is out of control. We all know this. It's like a disease that just keeps on getting worse. And so to save money, millions of Americans are starting college off at our community colleges, which, when they work, are truly phenomenal. Schools like Miami-Dade and De Anza and Cupertino have the hardest jobs in the world and yet still deliver excellent outcomes for students at scale. But on a systemic level, far too often our community colleges are not equipped to be successful at actually improving the lives of students. Here's some data. The average community college in our country has a graduation rate of about just 30%. And just 14% of students who start off at a community college will actually transfer into and graduate from a four-year university, just 14%. Here's the worst part. Each year, approximately 260,000 students drop out of our community colleges holding a collective $1.5 billion in student loan debt, $5,700 each, and no degree. They have no increased earning potential and are now in debt. They're worse off than if they'd never gone to college in the first place. This is a crisis for our country. We've turned millions in my generation into unemployable debtors who started off adulthood with a negative net worth. They can't afford to buy a home, they feel they can't afford to have kids or take any risks like starting a business. And now there's an entire generation after us increasingly opting out of post-high school education altogether, asking themselves, why should I even try when a good education is so out of reach and AI is about to take all the jobs anyway? And so, in an attempt to be part of the solution, several years ago, my team and I acquired a 2-year college to build out a new model, one where students don't have to choose between quality and accessibility. Today, more than 3,000 campus students are pursuing degrees in fields like applied AI and modern business administration. They're taking classes taught by a network of professors who simultaneously teach at our country's top universities like UT Austin and Stanford. Our classes are delivered live online, accessible but also highly engaging. Each of our students is paired with a success coach whose sole job is to make sure that they graduate. Students receive a bunch of additional things needed for success: a laptop, a Wi-Fi dongle so they can attend class from anywhere, free mental health counseling, free math and writing tutoring. And the best part is we've managed to figure out how to deliver all of this while keeping tuition priced below max Pell, meaning low-income students pay nothing out of pocket, and middle-income students can cover annual tuition with just a summer job at the mall or the movie theater down the street. While it's still early, our model's results speak for themselves. Our graduates who get a 3.0 GPA get guaranteed transfer admissions into dozens of great universities across the country. Our first few cohorts have already achieved graduation rates 30% higher than the national average, and not one of our more than 3,000 students has taken on a single cent of student loan debt to attend campus. We're able to sustainably offer all of this because investments in student retention are, in fact, ROI positive. And my team, including our president, Michael Zimmerman, the grandson of our college's founder, is working around the clock to keep improving our model as we scale. All of this is guided by our board of trustees, leaders who've dedicated their lives to American education, including our chair, Dr. John Wilson of Morehouse, Dr. Gail Mello, Dr. Art Levine, Dr. Eduardo Padron, and Dr. Joe May. In closing, our country needs to solve these challenges urgently, and we're committed to playing our role in scaling a model that works. I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Under Committee Rule 9, we will now question witnesses under the 5-minute rule. I will recognize myself for my 5 minutes. Mr. Oyerinde, from your perspective, dealing with community colleges, what are the most persistent structural failures in our current community college platform?
Well, it's really about the students that our community colleges are serving. They're serving, I think, in many cases, the most challenging students to serve. They're doing the Lord's work. And those students need more support than most community colleges are currently equipped to be able to provide. As Dr. Will Del Pilar said, CUNY ASAP has already demonstrated a lot of what works. You provide students with coaches. At campus, for every 50 students we enroll, we have a coach. This coach is there providing the kind of work my parents did when they're kicking my butt when I start slacking, and they're a shoulder to lean on when things get tough. And that's what we provide to every student. And quite frankly, that's what's needed if you're serious about getting graduation rates up. Well, because many of these students don't have parents who went to college or university like mine did. We hear from students all the time, their dad's actually discouraging them from remaining enrolled and saying, go get a job at Walmart and help me out with the bills. And so what's needed is a lot of students need these wraparound supports. The challenge that community colleges have structurally is that they can't figure out how to economically offer what we already know and the science has already shown works. It is expensive to start off, but what I'm here to say today is that ROI from these investments is positive. And if you can get that, that ball rolling, it pays for itself.
Okay, thank you. It builds on itself. My time has expired. I now recognize my friend from Virginia, the ranking member, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Oyerinde, you mentioned a positive return on investment when you invest in students. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really straightforward. So imagine you have a cycle. And so the first phase of a cycle is increased investment in student supports, coaches, laptops, Wi-Fi. What that does is it improves, in the second stage of the cycle, your retention rates. So that means fewer students drop out. What happens when fewer students drop out? That means as an institution, you retain more revenue. Your balance sheet goes up because each student who drops out previously would have been lost revenue that now you're holding on to. And what can you do with that new revenue? Well, then you can now reinvest in more student support services. So it's really about getting that virtuous cycle started. That does cost a lot of money up front. We've raised over $100 million to get going, but it's profitable as a system to invest in student support services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. I recognize the gentlelady from North Carolina, the Chairman Emeritus, Ms. Fox.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I thank our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Oyerinde, young Americans are increasingly skeptical of the value of college. In your testimony, you warn of a generation increasingly opting out of higher education, partly due to cost concerns and the fear of AI replacing jobs. Based on your experience, what concrete messages, program features, and supports have most effectively countered that skepticism and persuaded students that a lean, targeted post-secondary path can be a smart investment rather than a waste of time and money? And I just want to comment, too, that your comments about retention are so important. Every school needs to be paying attention to that. But if you could tell me, give me an answer to my question.
Yes, thank you, Congresswoman. Look, it's really simple. 2 words resonate with students: no debt. It's that simple. For students, particularly the 2-year space, they should not be taking on loans when our completion rates are what they are. Even the best community colleges in the country don't have above 50% completion rates. So with the reality being what it is, most of these students should not be taking on student loans, and that resonates. These students have a cousin, uncle, older sibling who has taken on a lot of loans and who can't get great work. And that is the most effective anti-college marketing that you could possibly conceive. And so I think the more that we can do to clarify to students, no, you shouldn't be taking on loans to complete a community college degree. We should figure out ways as institutions to make it profitable for us to serve these students with the supports they need without them having to take on student loans. That resonates really well.
I have another question for you. Campus EDU has grown rapidly with a mission to lower cost, improve degree completion. What specific design choices allow you to offer degrees at lower cost than traditional institutions?
Yeah, so number one, it's about live online instruction. I think a lot of the research and the data that we still collect at the Department of Ed on online learning and the lower completion rates of online learning misinterprets that there actually is a distinction between synchronous and asynchronous online classes. Synchronous online learning, meaning the student is there, the professor's there, and the classmates are all there in front of their computer screens at the same time, is going to have much better retention rates than asynchronous online. And again, when you have better retention rates, you have better retained revenue that as an institution you can use to invest in more student support. So everything we do at campus is about improving retention and improving that graduation rate, which is in fact demonstrably profitable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
I now recognize the gentleman from Georgia, the chair of the HELP Subcommittee, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Chairman Wahlberg, for holding this important hearing, and want to thank our witnesses for your expert testimonies. Mr. Oyerinde, did I get that close?
No, sir, but thank you very much for trying.
Well, excuse me, I went to Auburn, so you just have to excuse that. Got a technical degree there. But anyway, campus seems attuned to workforce trends, offering programs in high-demand fields like applied AI, modern business administration, and information technology. How do you determine which programs to develop, and how do you make certain your curriculum stays aligned with the evolving needs of industry and the economy to ensure a clear return on investments for your students?
Well, as Dr. Docting already said, you have to work with employers. If you're not, as an institution, spending a lot of time with employers, trying to understand not just what skills and competencies are relevant today, but what are the needs of the workforce going to be 5 years from now, which is more challenging than it's ever been with the advent of AI, you're not going to be setting up students for success. And I think I would advise other institutions to just decide, what are you here to do? What is higher education for? You know, some institutions, it's a country club for the affluent children. Others, it might be a minor league sports team. Our 2-year colleges, for sure, need to be preparing students for career and workforce readiness. And that's what we've decided to do, and the way you do that is by interfacing with employers closely.
Good. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I recognize the educator from California, Mr. Takano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Oyerinde, I'm curious about your two-year model. Have you looked at or considered getting on this dual enrollment bandwagon and working with the public schools to partner as many community colleges do? I applaud that low-income students don't pay anything under your model. I'm thinking this could be very exciting if you were to partner with our K-12 schools or the high schools in helping students avoid 2 years of college costs by doing some sort of early college model.
Sounds like you've been eavesdropping in some of our meeting rooms, but yes, that's exactly the plan. I think the best way to market and get the word out about college not being inaccessible, not being low quality, not being high debt, is to give students a little taste, and we're doing that next year in a big way.
My time is up. I would love to know your student to teacher ratio and how you achieve, how that works, but I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman and answered your question. If you notice, this week is going to be a rather full week for this committee, trying to catch up with some things and do it in such a way that it'll give us opportunities for things like you're talking about and seeing what's actually going out in the marketplace of education and ideas. So I take your recommendation to heart. I now recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And indeed, this is a bipartisan committee, and it was exciting to see the questions by Congressman Takano and Mr. Oyerinde. It is fascinating to think that these classes can be provided online and that the cost can be what you've indicated and what this means as opportunities for young people. And so I want to wish you well. And in line with Congressman Takano, the ability of providing this field to high school education, what is being done working with state superintendents of education?
Yeah, so we're just getting geared up to launch big initiatives next year in the dual enrollment and early college space. As has already been discussed, it's really important to get students there. What we did first was we focused on partnering with four-year universities. So students who come to campus get guaranteed admission into Arizona State University, Morehouse in Atlanta, Butler University in Indiana, and many other great schools. Now that we have those guaranteed admissions pathways, we're beginning to partner with high schools to do dual enrollment at no cost to students.
That's terrific.
I recognize the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hosting this hearing and to each of our witnesses for testifying today. And I'm so happy to hear how you're innovating. You're looking for ways and solutions on how to improve our educational system. I really appreciate it. Mr. Oyerinde, sorry. Can you share some examples of partnerships with Campus EDU, how you've lowered costs and outcomes for college administrations?
Yeah, look, obviously, and I know we're almost out of time, AI to help automate a lot of back office processes frees up students' time and professors' time to spend time with students directly.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
I thank the gentlelady, and I thank Mr. Oyerinde as well. Very seldom do we have witnesses that recognize the time. Thank you for helping us. Of course, we don't have many members who recognize time either, myself included. Now I recognize for her 5 minutes of questioning another educator on this committee, the gentlelady from Connecticut, Ms. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now I recognize the great member from Indiana, Mr. Messmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Oyerinde, many institutions have struggled to innovate due to governance challenges and risk-averse models. You describe your governing board as both a guardrail and a catalyst for innovation. What specific governance policies have most helped you move quickly while still maintaining accountability to students, accreditors, and the public?
Thank you. Yeah, look, our Board of Trustees is comprised of the most innovative and experienced educators at the 2-year college level and 4-year college level in our country. Dr. Eduardo Padron, for example, was president of Miami-Dade College for about 33 years and is currently president emeritus. When I met with him and pitched him on the idea of joining our board of trustees, he said, I'll join on one condition, which is that you work quickly. I'm impatient and I'm old, and I want to see this problem solved in my lifetime. That's what he told me. And so we've worked really hard to bring folks like him around who are going to push us, but they also govern us. And so what they do is they institute guardrails that make sure that we continue to have great outcomes for students in terms of graduation rates and retention rates as we grow. Why? Well, because as one person, a very successful person once advised me, design your organization so that an idiot could run it, because one day one will. And so we do everything we can to make sure we have the governance structures in place so that long after I'm gone, we still have the best outcomes for students as we grow.
Following up on that, what lessons can traditional institutions learn from campus's governance model?
I think number one is innovation and actually specifically picking numbers like you would in a normal Silicon Valley startup, like what is your graduation rate, and actively making sure that every quarter you're making a little bit of progress towards it is ultimately the only way to get these issues under wraps. We have to innovate our way out of these problems, and it takes technology, it takes people, it takes a combination of both. And so the campus model is high tech, but also high touch, and I think that's why it's working.
Thank you. And campus and some other the other community colleges seem to be embracing alternative education models. Are traditional large state universities readily accepting class credits from students that are trying to transfer, from campus?
Some are, and it's really been phenomenal. We work with, in your state, Butler University. We work with Arizona State University. We work with University of North Texas, University of Central Florida. If you come to campus and you graduate, you get to transfer into those schools with not only guaranteed credit transfer, but also guaranteed admissions. Unfortunately, however, that's not how it works in all universities across the country. We need, actually, I think this is one thing this committee could work on, to make sure that guaranteed credit transfer works. Calculus 1 hasn't changed since Sir Isaac Newton discovered calculus, and yet College A says College B's calculus ain't the same as what we're offering. It's not true. What actually ends up happening is that students who start off at a community college who do transfer into and graduate from a 4-year are going to graduate with about 130% of the credits they needed for the degree. That's wasted taxpayer dollars making students take the same class over. In my opinion, that's what DOJ should have started focusing on.
I thank the gentleman, and I recognize the gentleman who drove the farthest to the committee hearing today, the gentleman from Guam, Mr. Moylan.
Didn't want to miss this exciting hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really appreciate it. And it is exciting for me. I just recall as you're sharing their stories for these students that are now experiencing this, I recall when I used to go in and buy used textbooks at the library at the university, and the best used textbook you would get is the one that is highlighted and it has notes in it from the previous students, because it's highlighting the questions for the instructor, because they go over the same test every year and every year, and I got an A in that class. But it's just really exciting how we've been able to take this so far, and that used textbook was the only AI I had then. But now this is a great time, and you'll be able to reduce the costs as well. You know, I had a part-time job. My parents gave what they could, until finally the GI Bill really made it happen for me. But then after a 4-year degree, I had no real work with my degree, and ended up working in a restaurant. Fortunately, the Army picked me up, and I got active duty, so I'm happy for that. But I want to thank this panel for your having your innovative classrooms. And Mr. Oyerinde, thank you. Just take that a little slower. The Pell Grant has long been cornerstone of access for needy students, but the program now faces a significant budgetary shortfall. We also own taxpayers' assurance that these dollars follow value, not failure. Given your decision to keep tuition below the maximum Pell award so students can attend debt-free, how should we think about Pell's structure in an era of fiscal pressure if we want to encourage more low tuition, debt-free models like yours?
It's a great question, and look, I think the Pell Grant is one of the most important things that groups like this have ever done in our country. In fact, if you walk around our office in New York, in our headquarters, we have lots of portraits just like this of Senator Pell. It's a little bit weird, but it's a great opportunity for us to always talk about the great work that groups like this can do. I think there's a simple solution, which is that, yes, Pell has about a $4 billion shortfall at current rates, and I think that we can probably figure out how to spend less Pell at institutions where it has almost no impact. We have more than $5 billion of Pell going to institutions like the University of Southern California, no offense to anyone who's that's their alma mater, where the Pell Grant represents less than 4% of the annual tuition. Pell's not supposed to be used that way. It's supposed to be the difference maker. It's supposed to be used at community colleges, at in-state universities, where without the Pell Grant, students would actually not be going to college at all. Instead of making Pell a 5% off, let's make it a 50, or in the case of campus, 100% off the cost of attendance.
Thank you.
And I recognize another former teacher, the representative from New York, Mr. Mannion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the witnesses for being here today, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss innovations happening in higher education and how we can improve college affordability and student success. In Central New York and the Mohawk Valley, our community colleges, universities, private and public, and our K-12 institutions are leaders when it comes to embracing new ways of learning and preparing students for the future workforce. It's also a great part of our history, as Syracuse University and the State University of New York Environmental Science and Forestry had a relationship back in 1911 that partnership was established. So we continue to build on our tradition of growing technology programs in the area and work with our local employers in the K-12 public and private higher ed space to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those workforce demands in our higher ed institutions, and our K-12 institutions are leaders in providing that skilled workforce. For example, there are dual enrollment and direct admissions programs that have been streamlined. These educational pathways are expanding opportunities for our students, and formal articulation agreements between colleges are simplifying the transfer process by ensuring students can keep all of the credits that they've earned. These innovative models should be scaled up to address national challenges. I'm particularly concerned about programs as they relate to the transfer process. Many students do lose far too many credits and can find themselves functionally starting over, putting years of work to waste. In fact, although 80% of community college students intend to transfer to a four-year college, only 1/3 end up transferring within 6 years, and only 13% ultimately earn a four-year degree within 6 years. Mr. Oyerinde, you had mentioned the transfer process a few times in your comments. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, look, right now it makes no sense. College A has already done an articulation agreement with College B to say our Calculus 1 is equivalent. College B also already has a guaranteed transfer with College C. But then if a student from College C tries to go to College A, they say, we don't accept it, it's not equivalent. This is literally violating the sort of transitive property, a basic law in mathematics. It drives me insane, and if this group can do something to solve it, I think we'd be in a much better shape.
Right, so it sounds like you're encouraging us to establish legislation that might protect the students or protect the appeals process, and if I hear correctly also, utilizing AI potentially to do so. That being said, if we're talking about legislation or AI, in your opinion, anyone can answer, what should be the overarching government body that would establish which AI programs are going to do that exact analysis to make sure these transfer credits occur, and that legislation should be shrined under which federal department?
I think the key is just transparency. The data already exists. Every university knows the other universities that they've articulated with. I think the same way we have iPads data for reporting demographics and things like that, if we had a centralized resource for reporting articulation agreements and equivalencies, then we can get around this problem very easily.
Thank you so much to all the witnesses. I appreciate it. I will say that educators understand education best, and therefore I will continue to stand up to not dissolve the Department of Education. Thank you. I yield back.
The good representative from Wisconsin, Mr. Grothman.
First of all, I'd like to respond to something that was said from the other side of the aisle about a half hour ago. There was a strong implication that it was superior to get ahead, that you ought to be involved in a four-year university. And I don't think that's true even remotely. I don't think it's true financially. Not that I'd suggest everybody drive truck for Walmart, but I pointed out that one of those Walmart truck drivers live better. You see on the back, I guess they're making about 140 grand a year, which I'm sure is more than most college graduates make. I think since I've been a politician, one of the things I do is I ask kids at Eagle Scout Awards what they're going to do in the future. And I've noticed we've gone from maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago was all, I'm from the Midwest, I'm going to go to Northwestern, I'm going to go to Madison. Now more and more are going to tech school, more and more are going to trade school, which means they're catching on, but I'm still afraid when people say things like the Congresswoman from the other side of the aisle said, that you're leading kids to believe that college is the answer, a four-year college. It's not the answer. Now, next question I have, I'm not sure we're going to give this to, is it seems to me over time tuition rates go up. And it seems to me also the number of non-teaching personnel in colleges has been going up somewhat dramatically the last 30 years, which kind of concerns me because I don't know what you're getting for these people. Does someone want to comment on the apparent increase in number of employees who do things other than teach on campuses?
I'll just jump in here. Look, the reality is that we have to get much more efficient at actually running these administrative processes. Things like data gathering should be fully automated if institutions have modern systems, and that's possible today.
Exactly. You would figure in gathering paperwork, you'd have a lot less people working there than were working there 30 years ago.
If you've got the modern systems, that's right.
Yep. Okay, a couple of you are running colleges that do a lot of online teaching. Percentage-wise, how much does your tuition, and by the way, I'm from Wisconsin. I know in Wisconsin for a while they were charging more for online classes than in-person classes. I never got a good answer for that. But how much lower do you think you can cut tuition if you go online compared to everybody's got to show up?
Well, yeah, look, we've already done it. We've demonstrated that we can keep tuition priced below max Pell by doing live, synchronous online. If you just do asynchronous, I think you're going to see, as Dr. Pilar said, poor results, as we saw with some of the MOOCs. But when you focus on synchronous, people can still have that human connectivity that is so important when you want young people to stay engaged.
Okay, people on the other side also commented on how they do things in Europe. As the great Ronald Reagan said, we didn't found this country to do what Europe did, right? Okay, thank you. We're out of time here.
I thank the gentleman. Seeing no other members at the dais right now than the ones that have already spoken, we've come to the end of our questioning of witnesses, and may I quickly state, you've been an excellent panel. Thank you. An excellent panel to start back in with this committee and our deliberations. So now I turned over to the ranking member, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses, and I certainly support that statement. They've been a great panel. Today's discussion has made one thing abundantly clear. Innovation in higher education is only meaningful when it improves student success, expands opportunity, and promotes equity. We all agree that technology, new learning models, and student-centered practices can transform higher education. However, as we've heard, innovation without accountability, evidence, and a focus on outcomes is not progress, it's a step backward. And that's precisely the direction the Trump administration and my Republican colleagues have taken us. Their big ugly law cuts essential financial aid options, pushes families into predatory private loans, and makes it easier for bad actors in the for-profit sector to exploit students. The efforts to dismantle the Department of Education, especially hollowing out the Institute of Education Sciences, have left us without the basic research and data needed to understand what works. We cannot innovate responsibly if we are operating in the dark. We've demonstrated that when we ground the innovation in evidence, we can help students not only increase enrollment, but also complete their degrees and find rewarding work. Programs like the Post-Secondary Student Success Grants show what real student-centered innovation looks like. Initiatives that improve advising, expand tutoring, support basic needs, and ensure students stay on track. Removing federal funds for these programs is not just short-sighted, it puts us on the back foot on the world stage. And so as we confront rapid changes in technology and the growing presence of AI in classrooms and workplaces, we must redouble our efforts on evidence-based solutions that close gaps rather than widen them. Our charge is simple: ensure every student, no matter who they are or where they come from, has a fair shot at a high-quality degree and the brighter future that it provides. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
I thank the gentlelady. It pleases me to have a hearing where my notepad is filled up, and encouragement. I appreciated several comments today. No silver bullet. How true that is, especially if we're thinking of academia meeting the key issue, and that's educating a workforce. And so when we are stuck in a setting where the same old is the same old, and that's what we're going to do, we will not achieve the success that I think our commitment has today to be committed to. I like the concept of a key issue for education that will sell education to the students of the present and the future is no debt. I like that. That does sell. And I appreciate today that we have evidences of institutions who have not shied away from the One Big Beautiful Bill and its efforts to give encouragement to reduce the unnecessary costs to our students in education, to make sure that that no debt is something available for more, and who have been willing to say, no excuses. We will find a way through innovation, through pressure points in our own setting, to find what works and makes an impact for the incoming students that says, you will be educated, you'll receive better quality at more efficiencies and reduced costs. And I think that's what we're looking towards. I'm also hesitant to state it, but sometimes I go where angels fear to tread and say, you know, did we notice that the Department of Education was out of business for 7 weeks? Did your institutions, Adrian College and others, stop working, stop addressing student needs, stop teaching? Sadly, probably we're still filling out some of the paperwork that comes from the federal government. But I think the innovation is out there. I think when push comes to shove and we say, have at it, we will allow you that ability to innovate, to move forward with credible oversight, yes, especially where their federal dollars do come, credible oversight, but not oversight that pinions people down from moving forward in the system. You know, I think attention to the customer is the key, and we've heard that today. The customer, that student, that parent, and the teachers as well, who sometimes are hobbled by all that presses against what they desire to do and have dreamed about doing when they were educated themselves. Student success is what we're looking for. I would quickly state that while we've looked at some of the lack of clear immigration standards that are there, the world is still coming to the United States for higher education. This is where they want to be. And given the opportunity, they will come here. And I believe that that is a motivator for us to make sure that we give the education community the opportunity to do what education needs to do in the real world. So I appreciate the fact that today was on innovation, and that we see that there are tools to be used that'll produce efficiencies and ultimately ramp up success. And I also appreciate the term that was put out today, impatient and old. I am that. I am impatient, albeit older. I want to see our educational institution expand exponentially because of now what we've seen take place. And some of the disinterest that has come in some of our students that have decided to go other directions, that if we're willing to compete, we'll pull a lot of those back to the good of this country. So again, I want to say thank you to this panel for being here today. You've been very helpful to us, and a lot of reams of information will have been taken down, and the opportunities for other hearings in the future to move us forward. Without objection, there being no further business, the committee stands adjourned.